Ladies and gentlemen, there is a silent enemy that walks beside every dreamer. It shadows every thought of greatness. It whispers doubts when we dare to think big. That enemy is fear. Fear is not merely an emotion. Fear is a prison, and it has but one purpose: to keep you from becoming what you were meant to be. But let me remind you today, as one who has studied the minds of the most successful men and women of history, before we begin, I invite you to take a small but powerful step. Like this message, if it stirs something within you, subscribe so you never miss another moment of inspiration. Tap the bell icon to stay connected with the principles that shape greatness, and share this with someone who needs to be reminded fear is the enemy. But you are greater than fear. Fear is, at its core, a product of your mind. It doesn't have a physical form, but it exerts a very real influence on your thoughts, your actions, and your life. It's a shadow that can loom large, distorting the world around you, convincing you of dangers that don't even exist. Yet, what if I told you that this very force, which seems so overwhelming and powerful, is something that you can control? What if I told you that you hold the power to decide how much fear you allow to shape your life? You see, fear is not something that happens to you, it's something that you create through your thinking. When you face an uncertain situation, your mind often jumps to the worst possible outcome. The fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of loss, all these negative thoughts flood your consciousness. But these fears are not truths. They are simply mental projections, often exaggerated by your imagination. Your mind takes an event, something uncertain or unknown, and turns it into something terrifying. But this isn't a reflection of reality, it's the power of your mind at work. The beauty of this is that you, and only you, control what your mind focuses on. You can choose to entertain thoughts of fear, or you can redirect your attention to thoughts of possibility and opportunity. The key to overcoming fear is to consciously train your mind to think differently. Instead of seeing a challenge as something to be afraid of, see it as a chance to grow, a doorway to success. Instead of viewing failure as the end of the road, recognize it as a stepping stone, a lesson that leads you closer to your goal. When you consciously choose to control your thoughts, you reclaim your power. The moment you recognize that fear is simply a mental state, you begin to break its hold over you. Fear becomes less of a monster and more of a signal that you're pushing yourself, that you're growing, and that you're stepping out of your comfort zone. It's a reminder that you are expanding, evolving, and rising to meet your fullest potential. The more you train yourself to focus on positive thoughts and constructive actions, the weaker fear becomes. It's no longer something that controls you. It's something you learn to walk through with confidence and courage, and this control isn't about suppressing fear or pretending it doesn't exist. It's about recognizing fear for what it is, an illusion created by your mind. Once you realize this, you can begin to face fear head-on, not with anxiety, but with a sense of calm understanding. You can choose to see it as a challenge to overcome, not a threat to your safety or well-being. So, remember this: fear is a state of mind, and your mind is yours to control. You are not a prisoner to fear, you are its master, and with practice, you will learn to turn fear into a stepping stone on the path to greatness. Fear is the force that holds you back, that freezes your potential in its tracks. It's that voice in your mind that tells you not yet, or you're not good enough, or this is too risky. It convinces you that the best course of action is to do nothing, to stay where you are, in the comfort of the familiar, where you're safe. But the truth is, while fear might appear to offer a sense of safety by keeping you from taking risks, it actually paralyzes you from achieving anything of value. Fear makes you hesitate, second. outguess yourself, and in many cases, never take action at all. It wraps you in a false sense of security that leaves you stuck in place, trapped by your own doubts and uncertainties. When you allow fear to dictate your actions, you are, in essence, surrendering control over your destiny. You are allowing the uncertainty of the future to cloud your ability to make decisions in the present. The more you give in to fear, the more you reinforce the habit of inaction. You think about all the things you could do, but you're too afraid to take the first step. You think of your goals and dreams, but they feel too far out of reach, too intimidating, too big for someone like you. The result is the same paralysis, and nothing moves forward when you remain stuck. But now, let's talk about the antidote to this paralysis, and that is faith. Faith is the powerful force that propels you into action. It's not just a belief in a higher power or an abstract idea. It's a belief in yourself, your abilities, and your potential. Faith doesn't eliminate fear, but it empowers you to move forward in spite of it. Where fear tells you to stop, faith tells you to keep going. Where fear says you're not ready, faith says you have everything you need. Faith is the spark that ignites the engine of action even when the road ahead is unclear. Think about some of the most successful people in history. They weren't immune to fear, they didn't simply ignore it. In fact, they likely experienced the same doubts and uncertainties that you feel. What set them apart, however, was their ability to act despite the fear. They didn't wait for fear to disappear. They didn't let it stop them. Instead, they took that first step, then another and another, knowing that the only way to move forward was to trust in their vision and in their faith that they could achieve it. Faith energizes your actions because it creates a sense of purpose. When you have faith in your abilities and your dreams, every step you take feels meaningful. You understand that each action, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goal. Faith pushes you to try, to take risks, and to learn from the inevitable failures along the way. It empowers you to keep going, even when the journey seems long or difficult. Where fear holds you back, faith propels you forward. Fear traps you in a state of constant worry and hesitation, while faith allows you to act with confidence, even when the outcome is uncertain. It gives you the courage to take the leap, knowing that the parachute will open as you fall. It provides the strength to endure the challenges, knowing that each obstacle is simply a lesson on your path to success. In essence, while fear may paralyze you, faith will energize you. It will fuel your drive to take action, to push through the hard times, and to keep moving forward toward your ultimate goals. It's through faith that you find the strength to take that first step, and it's through faith that you discover the resilience to keep going, no matter what obstacles you face along the way. So, when fear tries to stop you, remind yourself that you have the power of faith on your side, and with that, there is no limit to what you can achieve. Indecision and doubt are like fertile soil for fear to grow. The moment you allow uncertainty to cloud your thoughts, fear finds its way in. It begins as a whisper, then grows louder as you hesitate, as you procrastinate, as you keep pushing important decisions off. Fear doesn't come charging into your life with force. It creeps in through the cracks of hesitation, planting seeds of doubt that sprout into fully grown anxieties. The longer you wait, the bigger those fears become, until they paralyze your progress completely. Indecision is the most insidious form of self-sabotage because it disguises itself as a necessary form of caution. It convinces you that you need more time to think things through, more information, more preparation. It tells you that you'll make a better decision tomorrow or next week when things are clearer, but in reality, indecision only feeds fear. Each moment of hesitation, each decision you delay, strengthens the grip that fear has on you. When you can't decide, fear gets louder. It fills the silence with what ifs. What if I fail? What if I'm making the wrong choice? What if I regret this? Every time you choose not to act, fear finds a new reason to convince you that it's right, that staying safe in the familiar is the best option. It feeds on the very nature of inaction, growing stronger every time you delay a choice or remain stuck in your doubts. But there's another, deeper truth to recognize. Indecision doesn't keep you safe. On the contrary, it holds you in a state of stagnation. In the same way that fear feeds on indecision, indecision feeds on fear. Every moment you spend caught in the grip of uncertainty is another moment that fear uses to keep you from taking control of your destiny, and the longer you remain undecided, the harder it becomes to act. The chains of fear tighten with every second of inaction, and you find yourself paralyzed by your own thoughts. Doubt is a close companion to indecision. It often arises when you start to question your abilities, your choices, or your worthiness to succeed. It plants the idea that maybe you're not cut out for success, or that others are more capable than you. It causes you to second-guess your instincts and your decisions, creating an internal battle that holds you back from moving forward. Doubt, like indecision, doesn't come from reality. It's a construct of your own mind. It creates illusions, making you question things that are clear and true. It tries to convince you that you're not good enough or that the path you want to take is too difficult. Both indecision and doubt keep you in a loop. The more you doubt, the harder it becomes to make decisions. The longer you delay, the more afraid you become of making the wrong choice. It's a vicious cycle. And it's the enemy of progress. Success isn't achieved by waiting for the perfect moment or for all the stars to align. It's achieved by making decisions, by moving forward, even if those decisions are not perfect. It's about acting with confidence, even when you don't have all the answers. It's about trusting yourself and your ability to navigate the uncertainties that lie ahead. The key to breaking this cycle is simple: decide to act. Even if you don't have every piece of the puzzle, decide to take the first step. Trust that the answers will reveal themselves as you move forward. The more you practice making decisions, the easier it becomes to trust yourself. And as you do, fear loses its power. It begins to fade into the background, not because it's gone, but because it no longer has the power to control your actions. You start making decisions with purpose, not hesitation. You take action with confidence, not fear. So if you find yourself paralyzed by indecision and doubt, know this: every moment of inaction feeds the monster of fear. The antidote is simple: make a decision. Move forward, choose action. It's not about making perfect decisions, it's about making any decision. And in that act of moving forward, you take away fear's power to control you. The path will become clearer with each step, and in time, you'll discover that the fears you once feared were nothing more than illusions. Fear, in all its forms, is the greatest thief of riches, success, and happiness. It has the ability to rob you of everything you desire in life, to create barriers between you and your dreams, and to prevent you from realizing your fullest potential. Fear convinces you that you're not worthy of success, that you're not capable of achieving greatness, and that the life you truly want is beyond your reach. It whispers lies that tell you to settle, to hold back, to remain where you are, because reaching for something greater is too risky. But let's make this clear: fear is the real enemy standing between you and the life you deserve. Consider the world's most successful people, the ones who have built empires, created monumental legacies, and achieved extraordinary feats. What do they all have in common? It's not that they never experienced fear. On the contrary, many of them faced immense fear, uncertainty, and doubt, but they did not allow fear to control them. They understood that success requires courage to act despite fear, not in the absence of it. They knew that every time fear tries to make them hesitate, they must push through and take the leap. Fear is the enemy of riches because it keeps you from taking the necessary risks to build wealth. The pursuit of financial success often involves making bold decisions, stepping into the unknown, and investing in opportunities that others might shy away from. Yet, fear tells you to stay in your comfort zone, to avoid the risks that come with making a significant financial move. Fear tells you that the market is too unpredictable, that you don't have enough experience, that you'll lose everything you've worked for. So, instead of taking action, you remain stagnant, waiting for the right moment, which often never comes. Fear's job is to keep you in a state of inaction, and by doing so, it ensures that you never step into the fullness of your potential wealth. Fear also sabotages success in other areas of your life. It convinces you that success is for others, not for you. It tells you that you're not smart enough, not capable enough, not deserving enough to achieve your goals. The more you listen to these lies, the more you allow fear to shape your reality. You hold yourself back from opportunities, you fail to take the bold actions needed to advance, and you procrastinate, all because fear has planted a seed of self-doubt in your mind. But the truth is that success is not determined by your innate talent or external circumstances. It is determined by your ability to believe in your potential and take consistent, courageous action. The people who succeed are those who take risks, who fail and learn from failure, and who persist when fear says to quit. When fear is allowed to take hold, it also becomes the enemy of happiness. Fear convinces you that you're not worthy of joy, that you don't deserve the life of fulfillment and peace that you envision. It tells you that you have to keep striving, that happiness is something that will come only after you've reached some distant goal. It keeps you locked in a cycle of dissatisfaction, where you can't find peace in the present moment because you're constantly anxious about the future or ruminating on the past. Fear creates a cloud over your life, preventing you from enjoying the simple blessings that surround you every day. Fear traps you in a mindset of someday, if only, and not yet, leading you to postpone your happiness until conditions are perfect, which never happens. The good news is that fear can be overcome. It is not a permanent condition, nor is it an inevitable part of the human experience. You have the power to choose how you respond to fear. Every time fear arises, you have the opportunity to look it in the face and decide to move forward anyway. You can choose to acknowledge the fear, recognize it for what it is, a product of your mind, and take action regardless. The more you confront your fears, the less power they have over you. You build resilience, and in time, you'll see that fear is not the obstacle, it is the gateway to your success. Riches, success, and happiness are not reserved for a select few. They are available to anyone who is willing to confront fear head-on and make the decision to act anyway. The key is not to wait for fear to disappear, but to move forward in spite of it. Every step you take toward your goals, every risk you embrace, every moment you choose to act in the face of fear brings you closer to the life you desire. Remember, fear is the enemy, but courage is the antidote. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to take action despite fear. When you make courage your ally, when you choose to step into the unknown, when you embrace challenges rather than run from them, you open the door to unlimited possibilities. And that is where true riches, success, and happiness lie waiting for you to claim them. So, recognize fear for what it is, a false belief, an illusion, and know this: you are stronger, braver, and more capable than any fear that tries to hold you back. Your destiny is yours to create, and fear will not stand in your way. The greatest successes in history were not born from the absence of fear, but from the ability to conquer fear. Every remarkable achievement, every monumental breakthrough, and every person who has risen to the highest levels of success has had to face fear and, more importantly, overcome it. Fear is an inevitable part of the journey, but what separates the successful from those who never reach their potential is the willingness to act despite it. Think about the pioneers in every field, those who made history with their inventions, their ideas, their ventures. They weren't superhuman. They weren't born with some inherent immunity to fear. They were ordinary men and women who chose not to let fear stop them. They faced their doubts, their insecurities, and their worries head on, and instead of letting those feelings paralyze them, they used them as fuel to propel themselves forward. Take Thomas Edison, for instance, whose name is synonymous with invention and innovation. He encountered failure after failure, more than 10 unsuccessful attempts to create the light bulb. But each time he faced the disappointment, the frustration, and the looming fear of never succeeding, he chose to press on. Edison famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10 ways that won't work." This statement encapsulates the mindset that allowed him to overcome fear and become one of the most influential inventors in history. Each failure wasn't something to fear, it was simply another lesson learned. Through perseverance, Edison turned fear into motivation, refusing to let doubt dictate his future. Consider Henry Ford, who revolutionized the automobile industry and changed the course of manufacturing forever. When he started his business, many people ridiculed him and doubted his ability to succeed. They told him that his vision of mass-producing automobiles would never work, that he didn't have the skill or experience to compete with the established giants of the industry. Ford's fear of failure was real, but his faith in his vision was stronger. Rather than backing down in the face of doubt, he embraced the challenge. His refusal to let fear dictate his actions led to the creation of the Model T, a car that became the foundation for modern mass production and turned Ford into a household name. Then there's Walt Disney, who built one of the most successful entertainment empires in the world. Disney was fired from his first job at a newspaper for lacking imagination, and he was told his ideas for an animated character, Mickey Mouse, were foolish. Yet, despite the setbacks and the critics, Disney's vision never wavered. He was constantly met with fear, fear of failure, fear of criticism, and fear of the unknown, but he confronted those fears head on and pushed forward. If he had let fear control him, there would be no Disney, and no Mickey Mouse, no Disney empire. His legacy teaches us that true success lies on the other side of fear, and sometimes the greatest successes come from the most difficult battles with self, doubt, and uncertainty. The lesson from these great figures is clear. Fear doesn't go away when you reach a certain level of success. In fact, it often grows more prominent as you venture into new territories. But those who succeed are not the ones who are free from fear. They are the ones who learn to take action in spite of it. They realize that fear is just a part of the process, a sign that they are pushing beyond their limits and growing. Conquering fear doesn't mean ignoring it or pretending it doesn't exist. It means acknowledging that fear is natural and then deciding that it will not control you. When you face fear head on, you gain confidence and clarity. You begin to see that fear is not a wall, but a stepping stone that separates you from what you truly want. It's only by stepping into the unknown, embracing uncertainty, and continuing to act in the face of fear that you'll achieve what others cannot. Let's not forget Oprah Winfrey, one of the most influential women in media. Oprah was told she was unfit for television, that her personality wasn't right for the screen, and that she would never succeed in the industry. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, and fear of public criticism all worked against her. But instead of succumbing to those fears, she used them as motivation. She fought through the barriers, transformed challenges into opportunities, and built a global empire that has impacted millions of lives. Oprah's story is one of resilience, a perfect example that success is born from overcoming the fears that would otherwise hold you back. Fear is a constant companion on the road to success, but it is also the signal that you are on the right path. It's a sign that you are challenging yourself, stepping outside of your comfort zone, and striving for something bigger than what you've known before. The greatest achievements come not when we are free from fear, but when we face it, take it in stride, and continue forward despite it. Success isn't about eliminating fear. It's about developing the courage to move forward with it. When you embrace this mindset, you unlock the door to your full potential. And when you step through that door, you will find that the greatest rewards, riches, success, and happiness, are waiting for you on the other side. The only thing you need to master in life is yourself, and the only enemy you must conquer is fear. Let not fear steal one more second of your destiny. Cast it out. Replace it with faith, decision, action, and purpose. Your success depends on it. Now go forth and be fearless. Thank you.